Hello everyone, and welcome back to a Medieval, where today we're going to do episode 5, The Forges. The ruins of rust. Everything's green, it's raining. Structures appear in the distance when lightning strikes. And there's a mana boost over there, so we're going to have some fun. There's going to be a new enemy. The first thing we get is the planet Earth. You can generally kill these with the axe if there's only one of them, but the planets, as per usual, work quite well as well. Over here, there's two of them, and yeah, once they start shooting at different timings for one another, they can be kind of tricky, but if they do decide to shoot at exactly the same time, you can generally coordinate it in a way that things aren't so troublesome. At the start of the level here, there is a bunch of little pits of water. Inside some of these is orange mana. Right there is a legendary soul that I'm not too interested in. And there is a fish, which does count as an enemy. It just never really attacks you, this one, but it's certainly there and it's eager to be part of the kill count. And with that, we are going to move on to the sword and a button that says laser gate control. Because there is a laser gate right here. If you press that button, it is going to go away. You can actually just jump through it though, which has some interesting effects if you can get the enemies to jump into it, because it will just destroy them. Plus, most enemies seem to sort of disregard that this laser gate is here. So if we were to wake everyone up, that's hanging out in this place. Hello everyone. And then quickly, well, that one just ran into the lightning right there. And then occasionally, if you just run around here, they'll try to reach you by running through the laser gate itself. And then you get a situation somewhat like that. Occasionally they'll also just continuously stand still behind it, but it's certainly a fun thing you can do with a laser gate. There's also a secret health right there, which puts your health back at 200, so that's good. Picking up that mana boost will also spawn a different enemy, which I didn't see, but I'm guessing it spawned, but we'll see more of them in a minute. Our goal right now is to collect the silver key, so we can press that button right there. But there is a little bit more things to grab here. First of all, there is one more enemy. And a message: our machines lie in wait, they defend the sacred ruins. And indeed, if you walk further forward, enemies will just start popping up and wake up and try to destroy you. This one shoots lasers. These enemies, as you can see, deal a lot of damage when they hit you. The laser deals damage while it's inside you, and it's quite long, so you really like to move out of the way as much as possible. But more enemies are indeed waiting for you to wake up. They're being just hanging out around these ruins. We'll see them as we progress through the level. But more about those enemies right here. There's a whole bunch of them, but fortunately we get some purple ribbons to deal with them. You can do this without purple, but it's fairly tedious. There's quite a large amount of them, and these enemies do move around a lot. They stop moving while they're shooting, but in between shooting and not shooting, they do run around frequently, and it can be rather tricky to kill them. But that one right there somehow survived, but you can see that rockets do work. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like me some purple mana for this particular situation, so we don't have to deal with this kind of nonsense. Alternatively, we could just try to axe them, but it's a little fiddly. If they shoot you, then you just take so much damage, so it's rather not worthwhile. Look to the skies, where indeed things are awaiting us. First though, let's jump in the water. There's a couple of fish in the water. I don't want to deal with them. There's quite a lot of fish. They're not particularly dangerous, I suppose. It's just that there's a lot of them. They're quite small. And I just rather not bother. There's going to be a couple more of these fish, and most of the time we're just going to be axing them to death. But seeing as, you know, we do have the ribbons available, we might as well use it every now and then. Anyway, might as well grab this legendary soul while we're at it. I don't particularly love having the legendary soul before that point, just because of all the laser shooting enemies that are awaiting up top the wall over there and over there. And arguably we could just grab all the souls from the fish, and then with a little bit of effort we could have grabbed the souls that are up the top of these platforms as well, but I'd just rather not bother, if I'm being honest. and instead just grab the legendary soul a little bit later before we move on. Anyway, over here, some swooshies. They will once again carry us upwards to where we need to be. If you looked closely, you might have been able to see a secret area there, and that's exactly where we're going to go. Around this tower, there is a secret invisibility, and from there we can just jump down back into the swooshies so they can carry us back upwards again. Very nice. And since we're invisible, these enemies will not do anything to us. It's a bunch of spiky balls. They're quite weak to the overkill effect of Volt Ride. They're not particularly weak to Volt Ride beyond that. Most weapons will sort of stun them, and Volt Ride does not, but the overkill does generally kill them, so it's quite good. Since we're still invisible, we can also just take care of these balls rather easily. Normally they shoot buzzsaws and they can be fairly tedious to dodge, but since we have the invisibility, they don't care about us that much, so that's nice. Jumping down from there, there is a secret Star of Torment. And with that, we're gonna have to go back up again, but the Star of Torment is quite good against those balls that shoot the buzzsaws, as you'll see later. The Celestial Claw works alright, but it can be difficult to hit the enemies with it, and I find the Star of Torment to be a little bit more consistent overall. Makes life a little easier. And with that, we can go down the slide. We can try to grab some souls or health, whichever one we find more important. And another sign that says patience is a virtue, which generally means grab your rocket launcher and start blasting, because these enemies can be rather scary if not dealt with quickly. Like the golems in the previous chapter, they are briefly invulnerable after getting out of the wall, but if you wait just a little bit, they'll generally die quite quickly. Pressing this button, you'll once again see a bunch of the spiky balls. This time they actually will try to do something. But as you can see, if you can get the overkill to happen, they're not too scary. Also, there's only 2 destructibles in this level. It's right there and there. If you don't know what you're looking for, this is gonna be just hellish to try and find because there is a lot of lights, and if you've played levels in the later episodes, it's a little bit easier because you'll just run into more of them. But this one in particular, since there's only 2, it can be quite difficult to find, I suppose. Down here, there is actually some medium orange mana, which I don't mind grabbing, because that's a whole bunch of extra planets to shoot at the enemies. And a little bit further up there is going to be one more laser enemy that do actually have a melee attack. It's just that they rarely use it, because I'm not going to use the axe against them very frequently, if I'm being honest. It brings us to a jumping puzzle. It's unusual, for sure. There's also a secret area over here, which is the main reason why we're going to this health. You can skip most of this by just taking the lower path and standing on that platform right there, because it is high enough for you to actually be able to just jump up top of the moving platform at the end here, but it's fine. It's not particularly difficult. I would like that one to die before we move on, though. Grab the silver key. Let's try to use a different weapon against these spiky balls so you can see the effectiveness of really anything else. The planets will just insta-kill them. The sword will stun them continuously. And Volt Ride, I do like using it a lot, because if you can get one overkill off, you tend to just kill all of them, and they're often in large groups. And it's just cool to see them all die, but at the same time, having an effective strategy that's a little safer does not hurt either. Press the switch so we can go back down to where we came from, where the silver key button was waiting for us as well. But unfortunately, all the enemies have woken up from their slumber and try to kill us. But fortunately, we still have those ribbons. And yeah, that takes care of everything. The silver key switch creates a bridge from the debris below us, and we can move on forward. Onwards to the rest of the level. You can't just rocket jump to this section and skip that whole silver key shenaniganry, but there's a bunch of enemies to kill, so we won't. These enemies, they are very similar to the other flame enemies we've seen before. You can get rid of their projectiles with the sword, which is nice, but they are rather tanky. You can use the Star of Torment reasonably easily against them, as long as they hit the wall in the end there. But yeah, it can be a little annoying for sure to deal with them. If you have the Azure Orb, then they do die quite quickly once again. But we don't have it yet. There's only one in this level to my knowledge, and it's in a secret area, so it can be quite missable. Anyway, let's jump into water here. I've gotten to this section before with soul power, but I think it's because I grabbed the legendary soul a bit late that now we don't have that to our disposal, which is a little annoying. It's quite nice to have soul power for the upcoming battle for sure, because there's quite a lot of spiky balls and annoying enemies, but I suppose we'll just figure out a way to deal with them otherwise. The regular Star of Torment non-secret edition was waiting for us over there. I'm just gonna shoot some purple in the distance, see if we can get something to happen here. And probably destroy a decent amount of them. But yeah, don't underestimate these spiky balls. They may get stunned basically every time you just hit them with anything, but also I was confused by the waterfall there. They can get stunned, but they do deal decent damage if one of them gets stuck to you. You can try using the axe. They do die quite quickly, but they will damage you when you try to do it, which is unfortunate. Let's just do one more of these. I hit the little platform there by accident. There we go. That's the sound of a lot of enemies getting destroyed. Very good. There's some more orange mana there if you need it. I think we're probably going to be okay. These cogs, they can just destroy you. If you jump into the water here, you'll just die, so be careful of that. You'll just get squashed instantly. Over here, the secret azure orb was waiting for us. Quickly just go around to that cog over there because there is a message waiting for us here. Our constructs are ceaseless, and indeed they will keep on moving for the entirety of the level, so there is some truth to that. But yeah, as long as you don't get crushed here, this is not the most worrying part of the level for sure, but getting crushed is surprisingly easy, so do be careful. Couple more of these buzzsaw balls. No worries though, because we have the Star of Torment. And if they are slightly around the corner, they do have a tendency to not do too much. Yeah, he was still alive. There we go. That was quite a lot of green mana I used there, but that's fine. Moving on though, there is a lot of lights. If you press the button, all of the lights will turn on and the flooding water will fall down right here. And hopefully I can do this right with Volt Ride. It's kind of hit or miss, I would say, but you can generally get a decent amount of these fish killed with Volt Ride, I would say. But the axe works fine as well. But as you can see, you end up taking a decent chunk of damage out of it. And I don't know, it's kind of worthwhile. I am on a pipe, very good. We actually do need to be on this pipe because there is a secret area on this side of it. And now I'm no longer concerned about the amount of damage I took from those fish. So all in all, it really doesn't matter too much if you can find that particular secret area. You can get away with just about everything. Anyway, message, you will be dragged into the machine, and indeed that's quite true because right there's a new enemy type. He shoots hooks. The hook will drag you to the enemy and then he'll try to do a melee attack against you. It's surprisingly dangerous, and the hooks are a little buggy at times, but if you accidentally kill him while you're being dragged across this pit, then you'll just die because you're gonna fall into a pit, so that's kind of worrying. These enemies I don't fully understand because they don't care too much, but you can generally just knock them off of the cliff and they will accept their inevitable fate afterwards. So let's just knock these down. As you can see, the spiky balls, they get knocked all over the place with the Azure Orb as well, which makes it quite powerful against these spiky balls as well, which is nice. Moving on though, couple more enemies here and a whole bunch of spiky balls. I don't really want to deal with any of this, so we're just not going to. If you didn't get dragged into that area with the spiky balls there, you can just jump there as well. It's just not immediately obvious that the area is even there, but it's completely accessible. And with that, we are going to the final section of this level, which is kind of optional, but for reasons that'll make sense when we leave the level, because there is one button over here. If we press this button, it'll say 3 more to go, and it will make the big cog in the middle with the exit symbol right there appear in the center of this arena. Every time we press one of these remaining switches, it is going to spawn some enemies. And right now the exit is closed, so we currently cannot go down there. But every time, like I said, when we press the switch, it's going to spawn some enemies. I'm just going to press most of these, and then I'll just use soul power, I guess, since we do have that available, and kill the remaining enemies in this section. There should only be one more, I think. Oh, one got overkilled without me even seeing him. Very good. The main reason why I said this section is a little optional is you can jump down into the hole here right now and you'll end up reaching the exit. However, the exit slightly protrudes out of the pipe, and as long as you're just sort of near the exit there, you'll be fine. If you don't press the first button, you can actually just go a little bit further, and the pipe will be sort of diagonal in the distance, and you can jump down and just slide down all the way to the exit as well, which is fun. But I mean, ultimately this works, and also the jump I did, it didn't look very difficult, but I have certainly died to it, so it's not super consistent, but consistent enough that I could put it at the end of a video there, so what can you do? Either way, that was episode 5 mission 1. We're going to episode 5 mission 2 now. The Crucible of Pain, named after one of the enemy types that is waiting for us, I suppose. The message, prepare yourself for the pain ahead. Very true. First of all, there's going to be a bunch more lasers for us to deal with, and as you can see, they deal a decent chunk of damage if you're not careful. Their pattern is odd, I don't fully understand it, just walk past it and you'll be okay. There's some health waiting for you here as well, so it's all good. Bunch of spiky balls here trying to make their way to you. I suppose we might as well just go for all destructibles here as well. There's some big lamps here. There's only like 9 destructibles ultimately, so it's not too bad. So let's destroy these. We can use our sword to attack the spiky balls in this section as well. Some you won't be able to see just yet, but the side of our projectile is able to hit them. So no worries there at all. And there is once again a couple of these flame creatures trying to attack us as well. The axe works alright against them, but you do have a tendency to take a decent chunk of damage from the enemies here if you try to use the axe, so it's not great but not terrible either. And as you can see, the sword is very capable for sure, but once again I'd love to have the Azure Orb ultimately to deal with these monsters. But let's move on. Over here we have some green mana, and that's exactly where we're going to go. Some more lamps that we can destroy. And some spiky spikes. I forgot to pick up a weapon. Did I? Maybe I didn't actually. Never mind. There is an enemy here. I believe it's called the Pain Master. They stun fairly frequently, and they're sort of weak against corners, because right now he is not damaging me. And really the main reason for that is because I am around the corner there in a sort of particular way. Their attack is very dangerous, and my main recommendation is to just stand in places where they can't hit you, because otherwise they are troublesome. So I'd rather not deal with them in any normal fashion. There is a legendary soul in this room. I will once again keep it here. It's mostly just in case I mess something up later. But there is a button here. When we press it, it is going to spawn a whole bunch of these spiky balls. But again, it's so good. It's so good. Occasionally when you kill these enemies across this great gate, whatever this is, some of the souls will fall down instead of being here. So occasionally you might have more or less soul power. That button will open the door to the Hall of Spikes. It also has this weapon right here, which is very nice. There is also another spiky enemy in the distance. They do get stunned quite frequently as well, so really any attack that just shoots them frequently will often just stop them from attacking entirely. It just takes a while for them to die, which is worrying. It takes like 5 rockets to kill them, and rather dangerous. Down here is a bunch of spikes and a jumping puzzle that I, to my knowledge, can't currently do without believing in myself. There is a torch here if you so desire, but I don't need it. We're going to press these buttons, and we are going to go back up for a timed jumping puzzle. I accidentally fell back down, and I'm going to see if that is a problem. Let's just try and run for it. There we go. Just enough time if you accidentally fall down on the elevator there. Very good. We all learn something new every time we play it. Moving on though, a message. The machine is everlasting. Very good. A couple of balls here, and there should be one more enemy in this section. There we go. We woke him up somehow. There we are. If we can just get rid of you. Very nice. Because if we can... Ooh, that did a decent amount of damage there. If you can jump on top of this, you can attack some of the enemies that are coming up a little earlier through that little hole over there. But unfortunately, I messed it up, so we're going to have to improvise a little bit. because these enemies can be not like particularly tedious to kill or anything, but it's just a little bit nicer to shoot them through that tiny little hole there, because they won't be able to attack you, and that's just rather nice. But if it goes wrong, then it's not the end of the world ultimately. Anyway, I skipped past one secret, and one of them was still closed, so we'll deal with that in a second. We got the silver key for that door, but there is a button right there. If we press it, it opens up one secret area right here. I accidentally jumped past this orange mana again, which is maybe a problem. I may actually need to go back for that. But there is a secret area right here, which is nice. There is another secret area right here with a mana boost inside it. As long as you are on the end of that hallway, you won't get crushed by the big wheel, which is also good. And I will just real quickly see if we can grab this and hope. I don't think there's a way to get past there from that point. So let's just wait for these wheels one more time before we move on. Very nice. There's a couple spiky balls in this room, not a concern at all. And then a few more in the distance. I'm surprised we woke up both of them, but I'll take it, I suppose. And then one more Pain Master in the distance, which we're just going to shoot spikes at, similar to how the enemy will shoot spikes at us. We are pretty much entirely safe up here because of angles again. It's an unfortunate enemy if you know how to deal with it, because it ends up just doing nothing. And there's a couple more lights here, which I think is the final destructibles of the level as well. Indeed, we are at 9 out of 9. There is a Celestial Claw here. And the silver key will allow us to go back into the Hall of Spikes. Back towards the silver key door near the room with the legendary soul inside. One more Pain Master. We're just gonna make sure we walk back slowly and carefully. The Celestial Claw works quite well as well, but the stick right here, pretty good ultimately, so I don't mind it too much. Onwards to the axe room. Just don't get hit, I suppose. That's a pretty good hint. And you'll be entirely okay. We're getting pretty close to having soul power, and the reason for that will be obvious soon. It's very much planned out this time around. Message, not even time can diminish our creations. Sort of true, I suppose, for most enemies in this game. And we're just going to slowly ride this elevator up and jump around here, because there is a secret area with some ribbons to grab. And from here we can just jump back again and jump back to where we came from. Kill a couple enemies, and then we are going into explanation mode, because right now we are at 36 out of 76 kills. We are missing 40 enemies. If we type the ADAR cheat to turn on the radar, you can see that there are 38 enemies in the top left that have not yet been spawned, and 2 of them which have. So overall it ends up being 40 enemies, and one of the enemies should spawn over there and one should spawn over there. But if we go up the stairs here, then one enemy spawner unfortunately disappears, and we end up with 39 enemies in total in the level, while we still need to try and get 40 kills. So in normal circumstances it shouldn't be possible to get 100% of the kills, because simply put, there isn't 76 enemies in the level. Fortunately, we can work around that, and I'll show you how in just a second. First, we're going to kill this fire enemy. And there is another fire enemy in the distance right there that I'll just take care of to make life a little bit easier. Rather just kill him from a distance. As you can see, the Azure Orb works quite well. You just end up shooting so much that it's not a real problem anymore afterwards. Anyway, the way that I found around the 40 kill thing is we're going to shoot this enemy 4 times. We're going to grab this soul, and then we're going to shoot a sun at him while he's getting dragged into a black hole. So we're just going to get him to shoot once. There we go. And then we're going to do this. He'll die to the sun, and then he'll die a second time to the black hole. And you end up with 1 more kill from that enemy than you are, I guess, supposed to. The thing about that is that works against basically every enemy in the game. You can double kill effectively everything. So you can get kill counts that are way above the amount of enemies that are actually in the level by doing that. Which I suppose is why I kind of avoid trying to do it too much. But it's nice that it's there, because it means you can actually get 100% kills in the levels where the kill counts are ultimately a little wrong due to enemies not behaving the way they are supposed to, I suppose. Anyway, with that in mind, we will just real quick go back to the axe room, because there is one more secret area that I hadn't grabbed yet. I just wanted to use my soul power as much as possible in that place. And then we're going to try to jump back in here so we don't have to go all the way back around again. And now we have a bunch of health, so all in all, pretty good deal. But yeah, anytime there is just less enemies in the level than the level says there is, I will probably just try to use tricks to get around that, I suppose. And fortunately, there's a fairly consistent way of doing it. Also, we have to press a bunch of buttons in this room. The thing about the kill counts as well is that you can do it without the suns. There is other ways of doing it. It's just, this is a lot easier. You just need to make sure you actually kill the enemy with that final shot before they die to the black hole itself, and that can just be kind of tricky with most weapons except for the sun, so it just all kind of works out in a really nice way. But had it not worked out, you can kill an enemy, or just attack an enemy with Volt Ride until it goes into the overkill mode. This could be kind of scary. Yeah, that deals a decent amount of damage if you're not ready for it. You can get an enemy to like start being stunned by the overkill effect of Volt Ride, and if you then quick save and quick load, they'll actually still be alive, but they'll be one hit away from death, and then you can just use any other weapon at that point to make sure you'll kill them as they go into the black hole. It's not necessary, and that's ultimately nice. When we pressed all the switches in this room, it opened up this place right here where a couple of enemies are waiting for us. All on top of little ledges. We can see the golden key in the distance. And when we move a little bit further forward, some balls will spawn out of some pipes. That's going to be a tricky shot ultimately, I suppose. Kind of a waste of that particular weapon, I suppose, but what can you do? It ends up working out. There is some secret health underneath here, so we're just going to grab that. And when we go back down, we'll be back at the start of the level. There is some purple mana here as well. There is now a silver key switch here that wasn't here previously, and we can use that to get back up here again. So we can grab the golden key that is currently waiting for us here. Another thing, I guess, about that black hole thing is that I'm probably going to stop using the black hole unless I have to, because it's very easy to mess up your kill counts with it. And I'd rather not. A couple of orange manas inside these two pipes, and then we'll just try to do that jump. It's a little tricky, but not impossible. Also, right now, there's no enemies inside that room, but when we open up the golden key door, suddenly some enemies spawn here. We can't shoot through this with Volt Ride. We can shoot through it with rockets, so we're just going to do that because it makes this a little easier at the end of the day. And if you want, you can jump there as well to grab these souls in case you so desire. There is a full orange mana right there. You can technically get that without rocket jumping. It's just kind of awful because there is one more of those hook enemies in the distance right there. And you can technically get hooked onto the platform that he's on and then jump over to the side there and grab the orange mana if you so desire. I'm not going to bother with it. You can just rocket jump to it as well. It's a lot easier. But we don't really need it because we have so much purple mana to go around right now that I'm not going to be particularly worried about the remaining enemies in this level. We still have 6 shots left, and honestly, this weapon's so powerful that there's really no reason not to use some of these attacks against them. There we go. Now here we have a sequence that there's a couple of different ways to do. My way is not particularly consistent, but it works generally, which is to jump onto the switch from over there, and then we'll just go around everything. And I say it's not particularly consistent. I find that it works well enough. Just 2 enemies there, and we got both of them. Very good. It's just that one jump is a little fiddly. You can do that in different ways with I wonder if you can see it with that little gap, that little bridge right there. It's just fiddly. I don't want to deal with it. This power is endless, and indeed it is. We are missing 2 enemies, which is correct. They are both up here. They are both Painmasters, and we are just going to stand behind this ledge because, again, Paymasters really struggle with ledges, and this is no exception at all. You are entirely safe behind this little thing, and not a worry whatsoever. Very nice. That is 100% kills in a level where it's technically impossible. Also, if you end up with more kills than are in the level, it'll just round down to 100%, so that's also quite nice. With that though, we are going to episode 5, mission 3. The Gantlet of Torment. And immediately below us there is a sword, which is just a nice thing to have. There is going to be a Celestial Claw and some orange mana as well, which we're just going to grab real quick, and some spiky balls and one of those hook enemies to warm everyone up a little bit for the pain ahead. Because there is a lot of things that can go wrong here, and hopefully that's not going to be the case. Let's just shoot a couple rockets at that enemy right there. There's going to be some more spiky balls to our right, and a couple of laser friends in the distance as well that can be a little tricky, but we got 2 of them in one shot, so that's good, and there we go. No worries at all. And ultimately our goal for this first section, after we grab the Star of Torment, is to be able to go in this direction to do a little jumping puzzle. Normally you do that by pressing a switch that's up there. You can get around all of this by jumping to that platform right there and then shooting a switch you can't currently see. There's one red one over there, but there's one to the side over there that you can already hit. But if you want to do the level properly, there's some things you have to do. There's also a soul that you can pick up a little earlier than I suppose usual by going around here and jumping on top of it. I don't know if you can jump over there. I mean, I guess you have the Celestial Claw, so you could just rocket jump if you really wanted to, but we'll get there later. It's no concern of mine for now. Instead, we are going to press this button right here. Wait for the platform to reach the other side. And we're just going to ride it back. Just make sure you don't accidentally fall off, and that's really the only thing you have to worry about here. I don't think they deal damage, that particular platform looking thing. There's also, once again, I'm just going to go for all destructibles because it's fun. This is just one of those chapters where I'm feeling it. And we're just going to get for all the everythings in every level. Because again, I think I know where everything is in this level. This is obviously a level where I'm not 100% sure, but we'll find out together. Anyway, couple more enemies down here. We'll just shoot rockets at everyone. A couple of blue mana pickups right here as well. That's probably going to be useful later. And a little jumping puzzle to get your way around the place. You can hear occasionally the pitter-patter of balls in the distance. Hopefully they're not going to be a particular nuisance. There is an orange mana pickup right there that I do kind of want, because it is ultimately 10 extra shots with this weapon, and that's just a really nice thing to have, so I would like to try and acquire that and then move on with the level. The Azure Orb is waiting for us right here. The balls are coming in our direction. These are never really a particularly big deal in this level. Especially once you have the Azure Orb, they're just really not a big deal. They just have a tendency to get stuck in areas below you, and that can be kind of annoying to try and deal with. But if they manage to stay on top of the platform, then that's not too bad. There's also a couple of buzzsaw balls in the distance. There we go. You might have already seen one spiky ball just sitting on this platform below us. As I said, it's a little annoying to try and kill them when they are below you. Some of them are even further down below, it sounds like, but that does give us an excuse to go down here. Where even is it? I actually don't know. We're just gonna Mario run our way across these platforms to get these remaining red health pickups. And there it is. Yeah, very unusual. They have a tendency to just land on these things and make your way troublesome, I suppose. If you fall down here, as long as you stick to the sides, you're entirely safe, and you can just rocket jump your way back up here as well, which is nice. But let's go back up one more time, and then we are not going to worry about this anymore. Surprisingly difficult jumping puzzle if you're talking at the same time, it turns out. But we managed to make our way through, and that's great. Over here, some more spiky balls. That can be a bother, but we took care of them. There's a secret area on top of this pipe, and honestly, I kind of recommend rocket jumping because the alternative makes more sense, I suppose, but it's just fiddly because there is a switch right there. it lowers an elevator, and unless you're crouching on like the corner here, you're gonna get pushed off by the ceiling. But it does give you invincibility. There is going to be some lasers over there in a second. We're gonna have invincibility, so that's not gonna be a problem. There's also an enemy with a hook, and generally they'll just pull you through it. And once you're past it, then it generally turns off, yeah. So all in all, not that big of a deal. From there, we can go back up. We're still invincible for a little bit longer, so that's nice. So we can get through this without a care in the world. And I will actually really quickly just run to the other side of this place to kill this spiky boy, because otherwise it can be a little dangerous later. And the rest, I mean, we still have invincibility, so might as well just rocket them to death real quick before we move on. There is a message right there that says Crane Winch, and if we press it, it'll erase the thing. The actual text says Fraser Crane, which is good. And so I did actually forget to grab one thing. Hopefully actually I also killed, damn it, that's actually kind of annoying because I like having soul power for this next section. There's an invisibility power up right there. We're just going to blow you up, and then we're just going to try and speed through this while invisibility is at least active. Because if we do this jumping puzzle with invisibility, which is now accessible because of the switch that we pressed, it's kind of nice because there's a bunch of those buzzsaw balls that are going to be in the way. And if you are invisible, they'll only attack you one at a time, and it just makes it a little bit less tedious. We'll try and deal with these from a distance, though. Press that switch from over here. And the further we get in here, the more of these balls are going to show up. There's another one. And as you can see, if you just are able to shoot this weapon at them while they are going down, then not a problem whatsoever. Watch out for the lasers. This thing's going to keep on spinning forever, which is unfortunate. But fortunately, this particular jump is not too difficult. There we go. And from here, I'm going to try to kill these spiky balls from a distance and hopefully get a couple of overkills or something like that. Maybe just have them randomly come towards me. I suppose that's quite nice as well. And then once the things are a bit dead, I'm going to run forward. And the main reason for that is some enemies that are on the other side here. And they are indeed all here to my knowledge. I think I saw 3. One of them jumped down. There's the second one. This is a problem. I might be missing an enemy. I'm not 100% sure. We're gonna find out about that later, I suppose. The thing about these enemies is they spawn on top of these moving platforms, but they don't start moving until you're a certain distance into this hallway, and they spawn a little bit later, and very occasionally, because of that, one of them will spawn out of bounds and just keep falling forever. For the kill count purposes, that's not necessarily a problem, for reasons we'll get into later, but it's kind of annoying. I just hope the enemy works with us this day. Anyway, these passages are not for the living. That's all good. Okay, the third one was over here, so we're actually good. That does happen on occasion. The hook just got me stuck there, which is odd. But yeah, that means we are still on track of getting effectively everything. The hook did hit me there, but it didn't pull me because, yeah, it's just odd. The hook itself doesn't actually deal damage. It's just the melee attack that they do afterwards that's actually a problem. And occasionally they just don't do that, which is good. Oh wow. I was a little surprised that I managed to land on this platform after he actually did manage to get a good hook off. Watch out for these spinning things, by the way. There is other ways to get back up there, but this is more the normal way, I suppose. Because ultimately the main reason why we went down here was for a little jumping puzzle, which requires us to jump on these rotating platforms. I'm gonna see if I can get on top from here, actually. This, there's a key there. That's really the only reason why we're doing this jumping puzzle. It's a little slow. It's, you can skip most of it by just getting on top of this platform right here and sort of clipping through the things. Because the thing about moving things in this game is that if you just go underneath them, you have a tendency to clip through them if you can't move from that particular section. And as long as it's not damaging ones, then it's fine. Like, these don't crush you, which is nice. But we got the silver key, and with that we can go back to where we came from. But there is a little bit more to acquire, because right here there is some health pickups and a little hallway. And we're going to go through the little pane hallway onto the little elevator, where there is a bunch of mana awaiting us. One side has nothing, one side has a button. And the button leads to a full health and also a secret area. And that's good, because I like having full health. Also, when we picked up the silver key, there is now an enemy, one pain creature, at the end of this little pipe section, I suppose. But it's easily dealt with our Celestial Claw. Pressing this switch will make these platforms go up and down, allowing you access to the next section of the level through jumping on top of these moving platforms. There is some windows in this section, and if you jump through them, you're out of bounds, so so don't. Because it's a bit of a mess if you are out of bounds. You can go up there as well. There is some ribbons in that direction, but I'm gonna take a different path to get there later, so I'm not gonna be too worried about it. The main reason to do it a little earlier is just because this next section right here, there's going to be a bunch of enemies, and it's nice to have the ribbons for that, but we certainly don't necessarily need it. So hopefully that statement is true, and we're not going to die in this fight, because there is a decent amount of enemies that come out of hiding here. Like 4 of these at the same time can be quite tricksy. The thing is, there is another full health pickup like immediately here, so it's, if you know where the secrets are, you are really at an advantage on making sure you stay alive in this level for the most part. 2 more lamps, also a message. Waste tunnels, also a legendary soul in the distance, and some water. These enemies are just fun to spawn a little early, and I'll show off why in a second. But first, we read that message right there, that's at waste tunnels. From there we are going to jump down here, because there is a secret health pickup. From there, we can jump down a little bit further, and then there's 2 directions where we can go into. One is to Waste Pool, the other one is back to Silver Key. Everyone close your eyes for the horrible spinny tunnel, and when we're through it, I'll let you know. There we are, we're through it, we are above the ribbons, and also that counts as a secret area. So that's secret area number 2 in that little section right there. And it takes us back to the moving platforms, as you can see, while we wait for the one that takes us to the location where we actually need to go. Back over here, we can jump down one final time to take the lower path into the waste pool for another fun tunnel sequence. This one less spinny. This is just a slightly easier way to get to this mana boost. You don't necessarily need to take that path. Also, I'm just going to shoot one of these in there and hopefully kill something. Yeah, that sounds like it worked. The reason why I say it's just a little bit easier after I kill these fishies, I'm fairly sure that you can get overkill with these enemies. Also, these laser enemies, I mentioned them earlier, that they're fun to just wake up a little early. They don't shoot lasers while they're underwater for whatever reason. They do still do their melee attack though, which is unfortunate, but makes them a little bit easier to kill, I suppose, if you wake them up early. But what I was saying about the mana boost, if you get out of water without pressing forward too much, then generally you'll do a big jump when leaving the water. It's a little tricky at times, but it's certainly not impossible, except today. But you can occasionally, when you go out of the water. I'm trying the different sides as if I understand exactly how the water physics work in this game. Come on. I'm gonna try this for like 1 more minute. There we go. Occasionally you'll do a little jump, and from there you can jump on top of this little slope and jump your way to this mana boost as well. But it's fiddly, as you can clearly see. Granted, I don't think I've ever had that much problems with it before, but it's a little tricky at times, so yeah, it is what it is ultimately. Let's just grab that. There's a big cool looking door over here. We'll deal with that in just a moment. No enemies though, so that's nice. But there is the legendary soul here. We're here now. There's a little water pool in the middle. We're gonna jump in here. There is some more fish to deal with. Come on. I don't know. I think you can get the overkill to happen with it, but maybe that particular time the enemies weren't really in place for it either. Mostly I just jumped into the water for the fish though, because there were some enemies to destroy. And with that, you can see above us is the section where we were when we went through the pipe, in the lower pipe, so we can reach that mana boost a little bit easier. But there's some more enemies down here as well. I think you can do this. Yeah, I would say so. I don't know if that kills everyone, but it kills an amount of them. I'm a little bit worried about getting soul power right now because of where I am, soul-wise, but I think we might be in the clear. Which is nice, because I like having soul power, not for the next fight, but the one after that. Like I said earlier, there were no enemies up there, but if we go up the stairs, then suddenly, whoop, a whole bunch of these laser creatures, and I don't want to deal with any of them. So that's good. And we should be able to get soul power from that. If we press the switch, the door will open with another friend behind it. We're just going to shoot 2 of these big rockets at it, and then we're going to attack all the lights on next to this elevator. And this is a good use of soul power. Anyway, over here we have the spinning section of the level. It's surprisingly easy to die here, because you do actually take damage from this if you are in that section right there. So you do have to be at least a little careful. There is the golden key door right there, which we don't have the key for right now. And then we have this section where a couple of paymasters are going to go down the stairs. There's 1, there's 2. Please don't be that guy. There we go. That took a decent chunk of my health away, unfortunately, but that's fine. There is also a secret legendary soul up there, but I'll get that a little bit later for reasons that will make sense shortly. Instead, another one of these, not particularly scary. How are we on destructibles right now? We are missing 1. Okay, that actually makes sense, so that's good. Down here, there is going to be some more spiky balls, which we're just going to shoot a couple of these attacks. There is also, I think, some pain masters here, and I am worried about them, so we're just going to spam those because they're coming from 2 different directions, and I lost a lot of health earlier, so I was scared. Instead, I think everything's dead now, more or less. There is 1 more destructible right here. And with the golden key in hand, we can go back. Down here, there is that section with the spinnies and the things. You can grab a soul if you jump down there. I don't really want to. But we can use the golden key to get to this section. And once again, we're going to open our kill count and see we're missing 9 enemies. We're going to turn on the radar to see that we are missing 9 enemies. And there's 3 enemy spawners right there. And when we walk forward, 1 enemy spawns and the other 2 unfortunately do not. And surprisingly, another level where the kill count doesn't quite work out, so we will have to kill 2 more enemies in this level. Fortunately, that opportunity presents itself shortly, so that's not a problem. Look up, that's where we need to go. That's exactly what we're going to do. We are first of all gonna jump back through here. We're going to get that legendary soul that was waiting for us. And this golden key door now opens, which is where we will be going in a second. Grab the legendary soul. That is all secrets. We're missing 1 message, which we'll get in a little bit. And here is the spinny jumping puzzle, which is surprisingly doable, honestly. So it's not too bad, as long as you don't get motion sickness or anything from this section, I suppose. There we go. It can be a little fiddly because the gravity is a little unusual for sure, but certainly not impossible, I would say. And there is the end of it. You will be fuel for the forge, the little thing says. The exit is right there. If we go over here, this should have spawned some enemies. And if we now do this and shoot... is that fine? Yeah, we are way above the kill count that we need. Okay, very good. I, for some reason, switched to the wrong weapon, but I think that may have still worked. But it's all fine. We are just going to slide down to the end of this level. And since we were above 100% kills, it rounds it down to 100%, as I said. And because we got all these things, we are getting the hardcore award as well, which is fun. That concludes Episode 5, Mission 3, and only the boss remains. The Forsaken Sanctuary. And given that we've gotten all Destructibles and all the other levels in this particular episode, we might as well get it here as well. There's only 7. They're all at the start. And that is that. That's actually all destructibles in one episode for once. All the weapons are awaiting us in a line. There is 2 secrets in this level. The first one coming up in a second. I forgot to read the message, which is right there. The Forge Master awaits, and then the text says something slightly different, but more or less the same. I didn't write it down, but you get the idea. Beware the Forge Master, I think something like that. That seems right. There is a full health power-up right there in the distance. We'll grab that in just a second. Emergency release control. And when we press it, I like this effect a lot. Especially from a distance. It just looks really cool. And it creates a hole in the floor there. But I did want that health. Because it's actually really nice to have for this particular fight. With that, we can go down into the hole right here, where the Forge Master awaits. A whole bunch of souls. We want to have soul power for this fight, so we're just going to grab all of those. The fight doesn't start until I go into the lava section right there. When we press a switch, it is going to make this happen. That'll be explained in a second. Instead, we are going to grab all the mana we can and all the souls we can, because when we get over here, it should awaken the Forge Master, as you can see. He is currently fully invulnerable, as you can see right there. But if you press this switch and get him attacked by it, he'll briefly become vulnerable. But we don't deal that much damage right now. So what we're going to do instead is going to try not to take too much damage from him and grab these soul pickups over here. And now we're just going to try to walk around him. Yeah, that worked well enough, I suppose. And let's see if we can get you a little bit closer to this switch. There we are. A little bit of damage, but we can use our Star of Torment to deal a whole bunch of damage right there. And then if we do this one more time, we can use this to take care of the rest of the boss's health. Easily dispatched of if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you will be shooting that boss for a while, and it's a scary time if you try and do that. There is a second secret area in this fight as well. There is this one right here. Another mana boost, so if you are running low on mana, then that works. And these soul pickups do respawn in this little circle right here. So if you want, you probably, even after beating the boss, you could probably get max soul power and leave the level with that if you so desire. Never actually tried it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I guess that would probably work if you want to. But I'm not particularly interested. So instead, let's go back to the moving portal that we have seen only once before in the gateway itself and finish this episode. Such a cool episode. The atmosphere is really cool. The kill count bugs are a little unfortunate, and it's surprising that there's 2 of them in this episode alone, given that I don't think there were any of them in all the chapters leading up to this.
Welcome back, champion.
But it's another chapter completed, and it's just kind of nice to be able to walk in here and actually see enemies killed 100% on all of these, because that was not the case in my first playthrough, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, with that, we can go to the Arcane Expanse portal. It's the final one that's still opened. We did walk near it at one point to go to the secret level, but that will be the next chapter of our adventure. So I hope you all enjoyed it so far. Next time we play, we'll be going into the Arcane Expanse, and I hope to see you all there. Bye bye.